exciting project of bringing students into environmental sustainability through the curriculum. And I'm doing my PhD studies in this topic. I'm not a full-time researcher, however, and I am a little bit isolated at the bottom end of Africa. So I do hope that you'll give me some feedback that I can take forward to create something that is really valuable. Just to tell you briefly how I'm structuring this presentation, I'm going to give the context of the University of Cape Town and some of the issues that relate to it being adjacent to a national park, where there are some very powerful biodiversity issues which may be of interest to you. I'm also going to present an argument as to why I think Green IS needs to be incorporated into the curriculum in higher education, and I'm very interested in seeing your opinions on that. I'll be looking at some of the sustainability challenges for higher education, and I'll just give you a brief snapshot of what has happened around the world in some other institutions. And then I'll take you through the case study that we've done with a number of courses where we've incorporated Green IS into the computer science curriculum with third-year students and got them to do project management on environmental sustainability issues and look at some of the results and challenges there. And finally, we'll look at some lessons learned and where I think my future research is going. So to begin with, I'd just like to let you know about some of the biodiversity threats that are happening in Africa at the moment. With climate change around the corner, there's a likelihood of drier winters happening, which means that one of the very protected plant groupings in the area, which is known as fynbos, is under threat. This is all the proteus species that you're probably familiar with. They're under threat because if they don't have the wet winters, they won't flower, and there's a very great danger of them becoming extinct. As you probably know, the Cape Floristic region is one of the 5 big conservation hotspots. A conservation hotspot, as you may know, is one that has already lost 70% of its area to desertification or to agriculture or to human habitation encroachment, landfill. There are a number of other species that are also threatened in the region. You probably know that the rhino, which was actually saved from extinction about 20 years ago, is now back on the threatened list because of misinformation about the value of the rhino horn. In our particular region, we also have the geometric tortoise, the Cape sugarbird, antelope, and this rather interesting little Cape rain frog, which is able to survive the winters by restorating, which means it takes its metabolism down to a very, very low level. It manages to block its nasal passages, and it's able to stay throughout the dry period and it hopes for the rain to almost come back to life again. It's a very interesting little creature. I think you have similar frogs in Australia. Okay, so that's something about the connection that our students have to the environment in our region. Our students are really passionate about nature because they go for mountain walks, or they are able to live very close to nature in the region. This map shows the global desertification threats. The purple areas are current deserts, and the orange, red, and yellow are areas that are under threat through climate change. This is specifically shown to our American colleagues so that they can look elsewhere other than America. With the other parts of the world that are under threat. As you know, planetary issues such as environmental sustainability are so-called wicked problems. By that, one could say that it's sometimes difficult to define them, difficult to structure the problem, and also very difficult to find solutions. It sometimes needs a multidisciplinary approach of people looking from different perspectives, from different disciplines. And some of the problems that one might define as wicked would include things like the energy shortage and the relationship to climate change. Perhaps even more important, water shortages and the social problems that could arise if water shortages continue. Pollution, social issues, biodiversity and land use. And although we know that all these problems are one of the biggest challenges for our generation, there's very little that is actually done in terms of implementing changes. And this is what Anthony Giddens, a sociologist, has called the Giddens paradox, that although our society is aware of these problems on the doorstep, there's some kind of apathy or there's backlash, there's resistance to change, and in fact we aren't doing sufficient. So there's a huge urgency to address these issues, and yet we seem to be stuck in some form of apathy as a society rather than. I'm sorry, I'm also doing some kind of thing. Next one. Okay. So why should we put green into IS? For the following 4 reasons. One is that IS is already a multidisciplinary discipline, and it crosses boundaries. So it embraces sociologists, it embraces computer scientists, and it really is able to look at the ubiquitous nature of sustainability, which happens in every discipline, and IS perhaps is able to be that golden thread that runs through various disciplines. What I really love about IS is that it has a sense of being holistic, at looking at the big picture, at the entire system, rather than a number of other disciplines which tend to look at in a silo mentality and just look at what is the next step rather than looking at the big picture. Another aspect about IS which I find intriguing is that it looks at the intersection of the technological and the organizational, and in particular the problems and solutions which arise when the two systems interact. And as I mentioned earlier, environmental problems are wicked, and IS, through its ability to set real-time problems for students and make students become aware of the challenges that they will face as citizens, that means that it's an area where very relevant issues can be explored and dealt with at a student level. The definition of green IS, which we particularly like, comes from a group of researchers, and it's all from Australia, and they say that a green information system is actually a system which either explicitly or in effect is designed to support environmental objectives. And this can happen at many different levels. So greenness may be embedded in the system at the design phase, right up front, or it could be at the implementation phase, or as well as implementation, and also to have an environmental impact at the end. This particular slide lets you see at a glance some experiments that have happened globally with introducing green IS into the curriculum. For example, at RMIT in Australia back in 2004, they started developing courses on waste management. And then in Wales in 2011, Cardiff University tested each of their various schools using a tool to find out how holistic were the programs. And the University of Hull from 2009, they have been integrating environmental issues directly into the IS curriculum. And Brown University was last year regarded as the top university in terms of a competition which was designed by the International Sustainable Campus Leaders Forum, and they asked about 30 of the top universities to submit reports, and Brown University was found to have last year graduated, I think it's the year before, 33 bachelor degrees in environmental sustainability, 9 masters sustainability focused courses. So currently they are regarded as the most cutting edge according to ISE and Gulf. To move on quickly to what's happening at the University of Cape Town, this is our IS department. I hope you know some of my colleagues here. And we looked at a course called IT Management, which is offered to computer science students. So already you can get a sense of a multidisciplinarity that's happening, that although it's a commerce subject, it's offered to students who study pure science. And we challenged them by giving them the opportunity to do some research. First of all, to set up a questionnaire, and then do an experiment, come up with a business case. And we gave them quite a lot of latitude in terms of choosing what topics they felt reflected some of the urgent issues of Green IS. And they had to do a full project management plan and carry it through, and work with small teams of 4 or 5 students each, and eventually make recommendations on a particular topic. They also had a written exam, and in the written exam they were asked to reflect on lessons learned. And I'll show you a slide at the moment which will demonstrate that. But this is one of the examples. What they did was they looked at automatic powering down of computers. We'd already done some research prior to this which showed that there was no cost to automatically powering down computers. It was really getting people to change behavior. And so it was very much a communication issue of students having to go out, persuade stakeholders why it wouldn't be inconvenient for the computers to be powered down for a short period of time when people left their computers. And as you can see, most of the students just used to leave their computers running all night long. They didn't even know about that they had power management tools. But after they had found out about it, the students were particularly keen on continuing to use that. So we had quite significant savings of electricity and, as you know, the carbon equivalent. Another group of students looked at paper wastage policies, and I'm not going to go into too much detail. To say that because of the lack of policy at university level, students would come in and not know to provide duplex settings on their printing, and it was quite easy to radically reduce the amount of paper wasted by encouraging students to automatically use duplex settings. This one was quite an interesting experiment. They sat and watched the usage of various computers in a particular lab over a period of time. And as you can see, every 10 minutes they marked off what percentage of computers were being used. And they were able to find that at certain times of the day or night, although all the computers were on, some of them were not being used as often. And they came up with a behavioral suggestion that there should be some form of deselection or phasing of computers by the lab technician to encourage students to use particular computers to allow the other ones to stay shut down and free and only be used during peak periods. So they came up with a very creative solution which cost nothing at all, but just a matter of changing behavior. They asked them during their exam to reflect on their experiences and to write an essay about the lessons learned. This is quite an interesting slide. We put all the essays through links in answer to find out what were the key concepts. And although project management was clearly at the heart of what they learned, communication and the idea of thinking hats and having different ways of looking at the same problem were some of the key concepts that emerged in the essays. On reflection, and here you'll have to forgive me for using Gaudi's but we are in Barcelona, and it's so inspiring to see an architect from the late 1800s who was so visionary, and he started the Sagrada Familia cathedral knowing that it wouldn't be finished in his lifetime, inspired by nature, inspired by God to create things that were going to be sustainable for future generations. And indeed, here we are still stuck with Gibbon's paradox and denialism about climate change. So, sorry about that diversion. Okay, some of the reflections were that the students are very enthusiastic about, they're looking for a cause. And I think they went beyond and above the call of duty. It wasn't just another standard student project. They really put heart and soul into this particular course, and I think they're hungry they realize it's a challenge for their generation, and I think they're hungry to get involved and make a difference, and we can use this idealism that Catherine has, and hopefully most people in this room still have. The students were able to convince a broad range of stakeholders to change their behaviours, and I think this is quite key. That it's although we're dealing with technology, it's really about changing hearts and souls and minds. A distressing thing, and perhaps an element for future research, is that some of the stakeholders, particularly staff members, returned to their default setting. As soon as the pressure to change was off them, they went back to no longer using automatic powering down on their computers because there was no longer a requirement to do so and nobody was watching. And I think, I don't really understand it, but I think it's one perhaps could explore it in terms of change management psychology. Incorporation into the curriculum, we found it's a rich source of experimentation. It really is creating a living laboratory, and there are a huge number of pilot projects which we could continue to do in the years ahead to find ways to reduce consumption of say, electricity. Okay. So I'm going to move very quickly, but I want to just share some very good news with you. And that is that our IS department has been given the opportunity to help reduce UCT's carbon footprint, in that from next year our students on this particular course will be continuing on an annual basis to monitor and measure and make recommendations about UCT's carbon footprint as well as other sustainability issues. So it's very good news for our IS departments. Just to take you for my future research, where I'm going from now, is that we've signed up for an international charter which is called the International Sustainable Campus Network Global Leadership Forum Charter, which has 3 basic interleading principles. There's a strategy, integration, and operational issues. And I don't have time to take you through this in great detail, but if you remember that this outer circle is about the strategy, so setting at a high level objectives for greenhouse gas emissions, waste, water, biodiversity, land use, as well as social inclusion. And then in the central area, which, as you'll remember from the previous slide, is to do with operations, to look at particular elements or particular tactics to achieve these strategic objectives. So, for example, for waste, it's about solid waste and reducing the amount of the university waste that goes to landfill by 70%, for example. It can be done. And I'll close on that note.
Okay, very